Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. I am Agi Keramidas, and my mission is to inspire you to rise up, grow, stand out, and take action towards the next level of your life. So this is episode 44, and I decided to do something different today. You see, it's been about 6 months now since I started the podcast. So 6 months down the line of personal development mastery, 44 episodes and downloads in over 40 countries, I decided to do a solo episode, a different episode. And the reason why I decided to do that, actually there were 3 reasons. The first was that I wanted to reflect and publicly reflect and share my reflection on how the podcast started and what has happened during this first 6 months and 44 episodes. And I've made some very interesting realizations which I'm going to share with you in a moment. The second reason why I decided to do a solo episode was to actually mix things up a little bit and offer some variety. So instead of always having episodes with interviews, I thought, okay, let's mix things up a little bit. Whether this is going to be a good or a bad idea, I will see later on. But when I decided to do it, it seemed like a very good idea. And the third reason why I decided to do a solo episode was because I wanted to share some of my thoughts on the current global situation. It's when I'm recording this, it's middle of 2020. And we are in the middle of the COVID-19 situation. So lots have changed in the last 6 months globally. And I wanted to share a few of my thoughts on this. So I'll go back to January this year when before I launched my podcast. So my intention when I launched Personal Development Mastery was to interview exceptional people passionate about personal development and ask these people to share aha moments, mistakes they made, breakthroughs they had, major lessons and learnings, and all of that for learning, growth, and also get inspired to take action and pursue anyone's dreams. Because I think when these powerful stories are shared, it's fairly easy, if you are engaged with it and it talks in your heart, to relate to some extent with the guest that I'm speaking with and get some lessons. And hopefully for me the podcast would be a real success if, rather than just getting a lesson, to actually take some action towards this lesson. So if you listen to the podcast and you get inspired by something that one of my guests is sharing, please write it down or start to begin to take some action, no matter how small, some tiny action towards this or because of this. I think that is really the only way to growth. We can learn as much as we want, but unless we take action on it, nothing really changes apart from information in our head, which is in many ways it's useless unless acted upon. So when I started Personal Development Mastery, I was doing one episode a week. It felt like a right amount of content to put out. When the lockdown happened at the end of March, I, along with many people, I had much more free time in my hands. So I decided at that time, and since April, I was publishing 2 episodes a week. And this actually was a turning point in the podcast, a key defining moment, because first it was the time that I had to use into making it. Many people underestimate how long it takes to produce a podcast from start to finish, unless you outsource everything and you just record and have everything ready, which I don't do because I actually enjoy the process of doing all these things myself. But anyway, there is quite a lot of time involved. And when I was doing it once a week, well, it was time that I could easily spare. But doing it once a week, though, I realized that the time was significant. So the key defining moment was when I realized that this is not something like a hobby. It is something more of a mission, and that's why I shared earlier on about my intention with the podcast, to share knowledge, to share inspiration, to get you inspired to take action and improve your life. So it's doing it twice a week really turned this into a mission, and my intention and my commitment is to carry on for a long time. So during these 6 months of personal development mastery, I was truly blessed to speak with about 35 exceptional people. And they were from Tony Robbins senior trainers to world-class coaches and strategists, to shamans and spiritual people, to PhD university professors about mindset, to TEDx speakers, to Forbes top 20 entrepreneurs. And as I said, I was blessed to speak with these people, and there were many learnings that were shared in the podcast, milestones, breakthroughs, aha moments, so many things. And I do have the intention sometime in the near future to collate and collect some of these learnings and present them maybe in a different format for people who are interested to have that knowledge compressed. So during these 6 months, obviously I made some big realizations about the podcast, and also parallel to what was going on with the global COVID situation. So one big realization that I made is, I don't know if you've ever heard the story that Les Brown talks about, the Chinese bamboo tree that takes years, where you have to actually water it and look after the soil where it's planted, and for years it doesn't show any results. For 5 years it doesn't show anything, and then in the 6th year, within 90 days it grows 30 feet. So he asks, so the question is, did it grow 30 feet in 6 years or in 90 days? Obviously. So my point, what I'm trying to make with this, is that many times when we work on a project, we have to have faith in the vision that it is going to happen, it's going to materialize, to manifest, and that is in spite of any apparent lack of outcome. Sometimes it doesn't look like we have any outcome there, but like a similar way to the bamboo tree, the roots are growing under the soil where you can't see them yet, and then there comes a time when it really expands and grows exponentially. And if you read or listen to people's inspiring or changing stories, you will notice that there is usually that theme of a long preparation which is not public, to that moment of massive success, wherever you want to define it, or visible outcomes. It didn't happen overnight. As the phrase goes, it takes years to become an overnight success. So my realization and the message I want to share is really have faith in your vision, despite the apparent lack of outcomes that you might have. there is another big realization that I have made these last 6 months, and that is I am a big fan of Stoic philosophy, and I read, it's a part of my daily routine is to read the relevant page of the daily Stoic book, and I've done that now for 3 years in a row. And the Stoics believed, and I'm a very big proponent of that as well, that each of us human beings has a duty. And it is the reason, the purpose why we are living our life. They call it our duty, our purpose. And I have the feeling, and that happened during these 6 months with the podcast, that now it is my duty to share this knowledge, this information, this inspiration for people to get inspired, to take action and change something in their life that does not serve them and move towards the next level. You know, there is that beautiful analogy of the world, past, present and future, being a giant canvas, and each of us as a human being has a small patch of that canvas that it is completely ours with our life to paint it the way that we want and contribute to the overall painting. So let's have faith in the vision. Let's make our lives the best that we can and what we really want. And as I usually say, stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out. You don't have to fit in. No one benefits by you fitting in. Stand out and show your light, your bright light, whatever that is, and inspire others around you. Create the ripple effect. I also wanted, with this episode, as I said, to share a few thoughts on the global situation, the current global situation about COVID. So the first thing I want to mention is that during the lockdown which lasted, now I'm recording this is July 2020, so the lockdown lasted 2-3 months, depending on the country you have been. It might have lasted more or less, or you might still be in a lockdown. But for me and for many people who I spoke about this, they took this opportunity of additional time and staying at home as an opportunity to go inwards. And when I say go inwards, I mean to reflect, to reevaluate their life, to realize, really to reassess what is valuable and what is meaningful in their life or in my life. And it was a tremendously useful period, and really thinking about it, I never in my life had any opportunity of like this to really go inwards, reflect and reassess my life, my priorities, what's valuable, what's meaningful. And I hope that to some extent you have really utilized this precious time to do something similar. It's immensely important. Another thing I have seen very much with the COVID situation is this polarization of opinions that people have. So there is a broad spectrum of opinions. From the one on the one side, we have the completely mainstream narrative that it is a very deadly disease, and with counting the deaths every day, to the other side of a far-fetched conspiracy theories about aliens or whatever else there is, and all the different opinions in between. So for me, what's important is not what to believe, whether you will choose to believe the mainstream media narrative, or whether you choose to believe what David Icke says, or anywhere in between. For me, that's irrelevant. I think what's most important for me, it is to use our judgment, to use our critical thinking, to use our reasoning to research any information that comes towards our way about the COVID and about anything for that matter. Don't just swallow, accept information because you read it on the internet or because you saw it on TV. Use your judgment, do your research, use your critical thinking. Thank goodness with the internet era that we live in, it's very easy to have access to the global information. So please do your due diligence on the COVID situation before you decide which of the sides or the opinions you're going to embrace. And that's it, really, not because it is a completely global and new situation and possibly historic, and I think it's one of those moments that in future history will look back to this period and people will study it. So we are in a very unique position in time and in history, and we really have to consider our choices. And there is one last thing that I want to mention regarding the COVID situation, and I think that few people would disagree with this, but it is something that I want you to really consider, that with what's going on and in the name of our safety, we are giving away some of our liberties. I don't know what your position is regarding this, but I really want you to consider what it is that is important, and combined with what I said about doing your research, using your critical thinking, make your choices and your decisions. In either way, we will grow and develop. In which direction, that is really up to us collectively. So these were my thoughts really on the global situation. I will come back to this topic with some outstanding guests that I have lined up, because as I told you earlier, I feel that it is my duty as a human being to share this knowledge, this inspiration, and anything that will help with growth, development, and taking it to the next level. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. And actually, I will take this opportunity and ask for something. I know that I don't normally ask for anything. So if you want to support this podcast and help funding its growth, and at the same time gain access to exclusive content or additional Ask Me Anything episodes or mastermind group options and more, then I invite you to join my supporter program and become my patron. The link is in the show notes, or you can type bit.ly/PDMPAT. So, as I said in the beginning, one of the reasons that I decided to do a solo episode was to mix things up, offer some variety, and so right now I'm not sure how this will go, but it certainly was very interesting for me to do something completely different and get out of my comfort zone and just speak to myself in front of a microphone, which I haven't done in a while now. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or any comments, I will invite you to join my Facebook group, Personal Development Mastery, or if you want, drop me an email at agi@agikeramidas.com. So I'm looking forward to seeing you next week on a brand new interview. I have an exceptional person lined up for episode 45 and 46 actually. And I will see you then. Until next time, stand out, don't fit in. Please take a moment to subscribe and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts, and also share this podcast with someone who you think will benefit from it. If you want to gain access to exclusive content while supporting this podcast, then become my patron. The link is in the show notes, or you can type bit.ly/pdmpad. If you want to know more about what I do and how I can help you, or if you have any questions, join my Facebook group, Personal Development Mastery. Again, the link is in the show notes, or you can simply type bit.ly/pdmgroup. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.